Welcome into the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast presented by SeatGeek, a podcast dedicated to everything you need to know about the squad.
What is this? Oh, someone's taking the ball.
You don't know Jose Alvarado. He steals the ball from the sideline all the time. Coming out the sideline, Jose does the same deal. He gets it. He did that to Chris Paul, did it to everybody, throws it up, 360. That's nice.
The New Orleans Pelicans Podcast starts right now.
Welcome back to the Pelicans Podcast. It's been a minute. It's still presented by SeatGeek. I'm still Joe Cardosi, and I am still joined by the vivacious Jim Eichenhofer. And, what a weekend, Jim. It was Mardi Gras. It was AllStar weekend. Did your liver survive it, my friend?
It did, Joe. I really didn't drink too much, so
Coward.
I know that's not probably that much of a surprise.
Lame.
I'm on a little bit of a health kick right now, which I think is a little disappointing, I'm sure, to you.
Yeah, he keeps flexing his pecs at me like he's Terry Crews or something. It's weird.
Yeah,
but,
so
I can see the effects.
But it was it was a great Pelicans weekend in terms of what we saw in Salt Lake City with what the guys did out there. A lot of fun. Friday was fantastic. I'm sure we're going to get into more specifics on that. And the Saturday I thought was pretty great as well. It was a year where Mr. Trey Murphy may have been able to win many seasons. It didn't happen this time.
He won a lot of hearts, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he really did. Loved the creativity. So it was fun. I mean, there's definitely parts of All-Star Weekend that, maybe have gone down a little bit from past years. But I thought the two guys from the Pelicans both represented the franchise really well.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, Zion didn't get to play in Sunday's All-Star game, but he did get to speak to the media. And, overall, it was entertaining. I thought the parts that New Orleans was involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only did the guys show out on the court, but I think a lot of people who are not in the New Orleans, circle, who don't come to the games, I think a lot of people outside of New Orleans got to see why we love Jose and why we love Trey. It was so evident.
That's exactly what I thought, too, when I was watching it. I mean, first half of the season for the Pelicans obviously was up and down. We had some lulls. We had some stretches where things didn't go well. The last game before the break was rough as well. But it was a reminder this weekend of just why these guys are so popular and why people are, so on board with this roster. I mean, it's just two of the guys. It's not like they're the only ones on the team that just have great personalities and do a lot of fun stuff. So the creativity that they came up with to have Jose do his Grand Theft Alvarado leading into a Trey dunk was so fun and so cool. I knew they had something cooked up. I
thought it was something different. I thought he was going to leapfrog Jose or something. I think our own Todd Graffinini gave me the bad info on that one. But he knew it was going to be something with Jose. So I knew it was going to be teamwork, but that was way better than what I thought it was going to be.
And I thought it was funny too. I didn't know exactly how they were going to incorporate Jose. I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. I didn't know if he was going to do it like the second dunk or maybe save it for the finals if he made it. But so when he came out for his first dunk and he threw the ball up and I thought, oh shoot, he had a bad toss. So it even fooled me because I was thinking Jose was going to be involved, but didn't realize it was going to be the first dunk. So when I saw Jose, running out on the court, and I thought Trey's acting was hilarious because it was like almost like funny overacting. That's the perfect sound for it. Just that look of like, what is going on?
Might as well have had the cartoon sound. And a lot of people thought it was Drake running out on Twitter, which was hilarious.
I didn't see that.
Drake stole the ball. People were watching. It's like, no, that's Jose.
Yeah.
Man, that was so much fun. It felt like it was Jose's weekend. Jose came out to the world. I think a lot of people may think, Jose is just this scrappy underdog story. That's why New Orleans loves him, because they're a scrappy underdog kind of town. But he is just a lovable character. He was mic'd up. He was the Rising Stars MVP. Called his own three-point shot to win the Rising Stars game. And he got some great audio from Jose talking about this Rising Stars MVP. Let's check that out.
Congrats, first of all. Thank you. A couple for you. First of all, is your game catered to an all-star type of atmosphere?
I'm from New York. I feel like that's an all-star every time we play in the park. So it was just an atmosphere I enjoyed. I think, I just played Jose basketball. I really won MVP. That's crazy, right?
What a game from Jose. What a night for Jose. I was so proud of him. It looked like no one was prouder of him, Jim, than BI. Brandon Ingram was just like a proud uncle with his phone out taking pictures when there's a million photographers around. By the way, it was just beautiful to see wearing the Jose shirt. Just wonderful to see him getting all the love he deserves.
Yeah, and not surprising with how tight those two guys are. It was funny to see that. I know people have talked about how Chet Holmgren's father famously has like video recorded with a camcorder every game that his son played. It was kind of those vibes where he was making sure that he could document everything, right. And I'm sure he put some of it or a lot of it up on Brandon Ingram's social media. So that was really cool, and it was funny. You talked about how Jose was mic'd up during the game.
Yeah.
One of the clips that I thought was great was he walked over to Donovan Mitchell, who was sitting courtside. I'm not sure how they know each other. I think Donovan Mitchell's kind of from the New York City area. His dad is a former, maybe even current New York Mets employee. So I think they know each other from that.
Insider scoop.
But but he walked over to Donovan Mitchell and said, "Hey, if I get the ball and I get a shot at this, I'm going to win the game."
Yeah, you think I won't check this up?
Yeah,
something like that.
So it was really cool that he actually did get the opportunity, like moments later, to get that corner or that wing three, and it was not an easy shot either. He was kind of drifting with his momentum away from the sideline, and just swished it. Ball game, runs off the court. Everybody knew he was going to win MVP at that point. I think it was between him, and if the other team had won, it would have been Quentin Grimes from New York, who also played really well. But I mean, you got to give it to Jose. That was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, that was just such a great moment. I couldn't have been prouder to see him holding that trophy, just having himself an entire weekend. We also got to talk about our other guy there, Trey Murphy, man. He was doing all kinds of stuff. He was a man on the street. He was in the dunk contest. He was interviewing people about the dunk contest. I think one of my favorite parts of the weekend was, I believe it was for Complex. Trey Murphy did a series of interviews with Kevin Durant and a bunch of the Celtics players, just a bunch of NBA players about his chances in the NBA dunk contest. It was a blast. Check that out.
Who do you have winning the dunk contest tonight?
I'm going to go with you. Don't disappoint me, bro.
I appreciate it.
I got you.
Thank you. Who do you have winning the dunk contest tonight, sir?
Kid named Murphy. I think last name Murphy.
You can jump a little bit, right?
I think so.
I think you saw. Yeah, you saw a few of those in person, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I lost to the Pelicans, but.
Well, this is my guy right here, man.
Who do you have winning the dunk contest tonight?
You want my honest opinion now?
Honest opinion, sir.
I had Kenny Martin Jr.
Trey, what's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you, man?
Good. I have a question for you. Who wins in the dunk contest, Zion Williamson or Trey Murphy III?
What?
I'll rephrase the question again. Who will win in a dunk contest, Trey Murphy III or Zion Williamson?
Don't they both play for the Pelicans?
Yes.
I don't know. That number one fella, he's solid, man.
That number 25 fella pretty solid too, though.
No, but like, who are we talking about?
Contest, Ja Morant or Trey Murphy? Contest, Young Dame or Trey Murphy?
Trey Murphy.
Oh, I appreciate that. Anthony Edwards or Trey Murphy?
Trey Murphy.
So who I pick for winning the dunk contest, I'm probably going to have to go with Trey Murphy.
As you said, Jim, that dunk where, just the acting work, it was Denzel-like, I got to say. At first, because I was like, oh, that was a bad lob. It's a little off.
Yes.
And then I thought he was trying to recover by like, oh, come on, get into it. He really had me fooled.
Me too.
But then he went full Jim Carrey when Jose ran out and took the ball. But I appreciate the turn. I love committing to a bit. And what a dunk. I still maintain that Trey was robbed, Jim. I know it's a homer stance to have, but I do feel like he was robbed. Oh, but Mac McClung's only 6'4". I don't care. It's not my fault he's shorter than Trey. He's not. Look, I agree with Brian Windhorst here. he was like, yeah, I'm glad that he's getting a bunch of Instagram followers, and he's getting all this love this weekend. He is an Instagram star. He is not an NBA player, and I agree. Trey Murphy is an NBA player who is starting games. He should have won the dunk contest. I'm sorry. Also, his dunks were bad.
I love that Joe rant, and to add to that, Kenny Smith, I believe it was, said on TNT after the contest was over, just giving everyone involved credit for what they did. He did mention that Trey Murphy is the best NBA, like full-fledged NBA player dunker.
Yes.
So they're not going to give a trophy out for that. Maybe he could get like a plaque or like a certificate
like a video
or something.
montage of all the love he got. Yeah,
that says best NBA, best non-2-way contract G League dunker in the NBA.
Yes.
I don't know. That might be too many words to fit on the certificate.
Yeah, the fact that you have to add that many words to qualify the dude means, look, it's sweet. I'm glad he got his little moment. Shouldn't have won. Should have come in second. Give him love that way. Trey Murphy got robbed. What do you think about the All-Star game, man? Has it been getting a little too gimmicky for you?
Yeah,
it's a little too weird now. I find it's almost like MTV's Rock and Jock sometimes.
Joe, one thing that I can guarantee you right now is that there's no way possible that you watched less of the All-Star game live than I did, because I didn't watch any of it. So the math tells me that you could not have seen less of the game.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of highlights, and I was kind of taken aback a little bit by the highlights. Not that this was a shock, that in so many of the highlights, you saw a guy dribbling the ball, a guy playing tepid defense, and 8 other guys standing in the corner saying like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. But yeah, I mean, it's almost gotten to the point. I've seen all the great audio of like Kobe talking about how it's the greatest pickup game ever. That's what people want to see.
Right.
And it's sort of become a lot of like, I don't want to get hurt. And you saw some of those like weird moments where it was LeBron got his finger stuck
in the rim,
and some of those things was like, oh, see, that's why they don't play.
So we're gonna hear about that forever.
Yes.
That the one time that he banged up his pinky on the rim. So from now on, we can't play any defense. Not that they're doing that at all right now.
Of course, it was LeBron.
The one thing I'll say too is that when the All-Star game was relatively competitive, I don't know how far back you want to go, 10, 20 years.
Yeah,
the accomplishments that the players achieved during the game had some merit to them. There was some significance to, oh, this guy had a 35-point game in the All-Star game. How awesome is this guy? What an amazing performance.
It's almost sad if you don't get 50
right.
points. Right.
Jason Tatum had 55 points, and I feel like, again, I didn't watch the game, but I feel like all of the analysis and what little there was of it in terms of the competition itself was like, oh, cool, he got 55 points. But and not to take a shot at another shot at a former player that used to be here, but I feel like I believe it was 2017 when Anthony Davis had 53 in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Nobody after that game was like, boy, that was amazing, because it was all dunks. It was all like Joe, you and this. I haven't seen you play basketball before, but I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you could score 6 points in the All-Star game.
I'm pretty sure
I think
just based on them going, what is he doing here?
I don't mean that as any offense to you. I just feel like, my brother played Division II college basketball. He could score 15 points in the All-Star game because no one plays any defense.
Yes.
And so I'm like, if my brother could get double digits in an NBA game, it's not really an NBA game. So that's my biggest beef with. I mean, it just
I'm
feels.
Pretty sure you could half court heave a bunch of shots and just at least land.
I could get layups because no one's playing defense. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't have to worry about like getting the shot off or getting blocked because everybody's standing. The other 8 guys are standing in the corner, like talking about what they're gonna have for dinner.
Selfies. They're updating their Instagram story during the game and stuff.
And they're shooting video, and in the background there's me walking by, and they're like, even this guy's scoring baskets tonight.
It's like you and Spice Adams are on the court somehow.
Exactly. So that's the problem. Is like it's gone too far. Like the Rock and Jock comparison is a good one. I heard somebody on one of the podcasts, I forget which one, suggest that they should make it more. If you're gonna do what they're doing now, goofy. Just go have like a 60-point shot.
Absolutely.
Have like a fan could shoot from the 10th row, and if it goes in, like one team has to.
You can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Right.
You got to commit to the bit. You either are the All-Star game and you are showcasing your players for casuals who never get to see it.
Yes.
Or you are just a clown show and you just got to lean into it and have Have some TV people playing against LeBron James since he doesn't want to like actually get his finger caught
Have like
in the net
Skip
or whatever.
Bayless play against LeBron or something like
would
that.
be great.
People would love that.
Yes. Seeing Skip Bayless run full speed would be the greatest comedy I've ever seen. I know he claims to run, but it'd still make me laugh. Man, we didn't even. By the way, I should mention we don't have a guest today. There was so much to talk about and so much I wanted to get hyped about. We were like, to heck with a guest. We want to celebrate the weekend because it was a big Pels weekend. Now, that said, it is, as I look at the calendar, let me squint my eye, use my monocle. Looks like it's Wednesday, Jim.
It certainly is. And you know what? It's also time to really get serious. The All-Star break is over. The trade deadline has been completed. Now it's time to get to the stretch run of the season. The Pelicans only have 23 games left. It's really basically a quarter of the season, or a little bit more than that, that's remaining. So this is going to be really fun, and I think just an interesting stretch. One of the articles that you're going to see may already be on Pelicans.com by the time you hear this, but it'll be up Wednesday, is just me writing about the last 23 games. It's really only 7 weeks left in the season. Pelicans have a ton of key matchups coming up. Dallas, March 8th. Oklahoma City, March 11th. Lakers, March 14th. Those are just the home games. And just
dates to circle.
Something that I'm going to just talk about and probably tweet a little bit about. Just the last part of the schedule, I think, is going to be – there's going to be so many nights where it's crucial and you're going into it saying this is maybe not a must-win, but it's a game that you got to get.
Every game almost feels like a must-win at this point, especially since, the West is so bunched up and it's such a weird spot to be in, 7th. You're so close to being out of it. You're so close to leaping up to 4th, 3rd. You have no idea where we're going to land, and you just got to hope that Z comes back earlier than later. Great to see Zion, by the way, enjoying himself at the All-Star game. I think a lot of Pelicans fans, especially the more conspiratorial ones, have been like, he's been away. He's angry. He is disgruntled. He didn't look disgruntled. He didn't look angry. He looked like he was there supporting his teammates, loving life. Actually, it was great to see some of his teammates interview Zion during the All-Star game. Jose and Trey got to hop in there and interview Z. It's up on the Pelicans website, pelicans.com. Check it out.
Jose, what's up? What's your job right now? Oh, my fault. Go ahead. Who's my favorite PG to? I'll say that dude from the Spurs. I'm just playing, man. It's a tie. Do we count CJ McCollum as a? I'll say Jose. Hey, respect.
I got to say, you can't say much from attitude, in terms of like how he's doing, but it doesn't seem like Zion is in a bad mental space right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that he went through some frustration initially, and it's going to be kind of an ongoing frustrating thing to have missed all of last season and then have this chunk of games that he's going to be out for. But yeah, I mean, he's had a smile on his face constantly throughout the season, being happy to be able to be back and just playing as well as he has. So, and how can you not have fun if you're at the media podium and you're going to be there probably for 20, 30 minutes and you don't know what they're going to ask. And all of a sudden you have Trey Murphy come up and ask you a question, and then you have Jose Alvarado ask you a question. And, I mean, just fun to be around those guys. So those are the kind of reporters that I think Zion likes to see.
I feel like that's the Twins reboot movie we need to see, is Trey Murphy and Jose Alvarado just going out on adventures. And I almost wish Jose would have asked his question on Trey Murphy's shoulders. But it was just great to see those guys just having a blast all-Star weekend. Again, B.I. wearing the Jose shirt, which was absolute fire. Was just great to see just all of them. It sort of seems like the Pelicans may have gotten their groove back, Jim, as you talked about. This is the important stretch. There are dates to circle. There are important games, but you look at the strength of schedule. According to ESPN analytics, we have the easiest strength of schedule. That hopefully will help. And then maybe the refresher, maybe the mental refresher. I know a lot of the health status is still the same as before the All-Star break, but watching those guys just have a blast, the mental reset after some of the bummer losses, some of those tight games, I think that may have been what they needed for CJ McCollum to be back to to keep the ship afloat. BI has been looking like the BI that he was as we made the playoff push in much more dire circumstances last season.
Yes.
I feel good. I don't know if it's the time off, if it's the mental reset, but maybe all of us needed to take a collective breath and reset here.
Yeah, we saw that happen last season where, it's easy to forget. It was kind of jarring to me to look back at last season that at the AllStar break, they also had played 59 games, but they were 23-36.
Yeah.
So they were not in good position at this time a year ago. They also had a stretch in similar fashion to in February, right after the McCollum trade, where they lost a few games where they were still trying to sort things out.
Each other,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, if they can do what they did last season, we're going to be very happy by the time we get to the end of the regular season and in April. They're actually, like I mentioned, 7 games better than they were last year. I forget what place they were in last year at the All-Star break. I think it might have been even 10th or 11th.
Yeah, I think they were out of it.
I don't think they were even in the top 10. So this year they're 7th. I do agree with your point about, getting a week away from basketball, I think will help. It was physically from an injury standpoint and emotionally from just everyone has to do so much more than they were expected to because of guys being out.
No sleep, playing hurt. People see that brace on CJ's thumb. He had the ankle. Everyone just gets worn down.
Right. So, you mentioned too the remaining schedule on paper is the easiest in the league. That's an interesting thing because I do think that with there being so few.
What does easiest mean? It's hard to quantify too,
And I think part of, if you just look at the basic math, part of what I think bumps the Pelicans schedule, if you look at combined winning percentage of the teams they're playing, they have 2 games against Houston. They have 1 game against Charlotte. They have 1 against San Antonio. So 4 of the last 23 are against there's only 4 teams in the NBA that have really way below 500 records, and they're playing 3 of those teams 4 total games. So that's part of it, which I think partly tells you they need to make sure that they take advantage of those opportunities as much as they can.
Get back to winning the games. There was a stretch there where the Pelicans were consistently winning the games they quote unquote should, and you felt relaxed during those games. It would be beautiful to feel that sense of relaxation once again and get back to those winning ways with the on paper games that you should win. And then we get to avoid the Suns, the new look Suns, which is great in the West. A lot of the Western Conference games, it looks like some of those are behind us. So you just hope that the Pelicans can sort of claw as some of these other teams maybe struggle with tougher schedules. As the Pelicans get healthier, people forget Zion was playing at an MVP level before he went out. And, man, what he can do and what this team might look like, especially with Josh Richardson, got that dog in him, with his toughness and what he's adding to the team here, a little more size. I just feel like the Pelicans are in good shape. There's no reason to panic right now.
And a couple quick final schedule notes, too, just from going through everything this morning. They play Portland 3 times in March. So even the Trailblazers have kind of faded out of the conversation a little bit in terms of the NBA or the West overall because they're not in the top 10. But specifically to the Pelicans, that they're going to be a huge factor in just the fact that you play them more than any other team. And then I've also lost track of this, but including the 3 games against Portland, the Pelicans have a ton of games against teams that right now, when we look at the standings, are within a game or 2 of them. So you still have 2 games against the Clippers. They're not that far ahead of the Pelicans. You still have games against. There's a game to end the regular season at Minnesota. We mentioned Golden State. There's still 2 games there against them. One of them, I think we had mentioned this a few weeks back. The first one of these 2 at Golden State in San Francisco, the Warriors again are on a back-to-back. So the second night of a back-to-back. So maybe that's beneficial. Maybe they'll have to sit some guys.
You gotta hope.
But there's so many games. It becomes obvious when you just look at the list. There's so many games that are not just, random, like some random team in the NBA, some team in the East that doesn't matter. There's so many games, like specifically head-to-head, there's so many games that are going to be huge for tiebreakers, huge for direct competition in the standings. It's going to be really a lot of compelling games.
You better be following Jim Eichenhofer on Twitter at Jim_Eichenhofer. He's got all the info and he's got those dates to circle and he'll let you know 5 things about the game. Jimothy always with the info. Man, it's great to see you post All-Star break, post Mardi Gras. I feel a bit like a withered husk, but you rejuvenate me, Jim. And it is great to be back with you on the Pelicans Podcast. We missed you, people. We are the Pelicans Podcast, presented by SeatGeek. Tell your friends and pals. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on everywhere iHeart podcasts are. We will talk to you once again on Friday. And until then,
Go Bell!
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast, presented by SeatGeek. Join us 3 times per week on Pelicans.com, the Pelicans mobile app, or you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time right here on the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast, presented by SeatGeek.